What is happening, guys? What is going on? We are finally live. The thing on my thing, it looks delayed to me, but hey, it's all good. I'm gonna work on the delay a little bit more later on in my career as doing this podcast. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in, stopping in. Let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna have some fun today. So I don't know if y'all can hear me. Let me see. I mean, the sound quality is pretty good. You know what? Actually, put this up to 3. Sorry, y'all, for all y'all's ears out there. I know it may not have been like super nice to hear all that clicking. I should have probably muted it first. I will know for next time. But how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's doing okay. And I know, what kind of fashion is this? Don't worry about it. This is not Venus. This is not the Venus episode. Okay? It's a little bit better than the Venus episode if y'all actually saw it. So you'll know, like, I was not really decking out the Venus episode either. Okay? But anyway, so welcome everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is your girl Cosmo, okay? Or Sia by some of y'all that know me. I also go by Lost for those of you that know me a little deeper than that. But what we're going to be talking about today is the compatibility with signs. Now, originally, I was going to be talking about 1, 2, 3, and 4 as far as numerology numbers. And I'm like, that's a little boring. I'll come back to that in a minute. But what I want to talk about is how we all relate to each other. Like, how do we find the perfect match in our love and interests, right? Like, who will fit the perfect person in my eyes, right? Who will fit the perfect person for my business? You know, it's one of those things where with astrology, you have the ability to kind of, give a good estimate or kind of, aim with the bow and arrow in a certain direction. So, with that being said, I want to talk about specifically how the signs, what signs are most compatible with each other. And this is based off of 3 variables that I use. I use 3 variables. I use the element. I use the type of energy, cardinal, mutable, fixed, and then I use the element. See, I'm losing my train of thought. There's a third component, but I'll come back to it. But the main 2 is element and type. Oh, I use also where they kind of align as far as because there's 4, like within the 4, because there's 4 aspects of each, right? Within the 3, like for instance, so it all depends on how you really, honestly, I think what I'm trying to say is that it all depends on what you're trying to do with this connection, right? The type of relationship you're looking for. Because not every sign can be together, or not every sign may have the most probable of romantic energy. Some of them are really good with being practical. Some of them are really good for just being business. So 3 components. I use element, and I use style or type of energy, and I use the type of relationship that's being looked at. So a lot from my clients, though, guys, I do read for love mainly. I do a lot more love readings, I prefer. But there's elements in times where a lot of our love is actually in our work. So, like, for instance, we could all be trying to do tarot, or we could all be trying to get our artwork out there, right? Trying to, let the world know that, I'm out here creating art. But then when it comes to kind of building a team, I know a couple people that actually don't even use necessarily their mind to determine whether or not someone is capable of doing what they feel they're able to do. So, like, it's interesting how a lot of people just kind of feel out a lot of that information. And that's one of the things I want to talk about today, too. Let's talk about first and foremost, the feelers of the group, okay? We're going to talk about the feelers. And I don't know if all of us kind of, because not all the time do these energies come up as feelers, right? Because everybody's made up their own collage of beautifulness, right? We're all made up of all 12 signs in several different ways. Typically, we have the dial changes about maybe 3 times, and all those where they are kind of give us a snapshot of our personality, our past, our future, whatever, however we want to look at the birth chart. But the feelers that who I classify as feelers in astrology is going to be Taurus, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. Now I noticed, and some of y'all noticed it, why is Libra being left out? Well, Libra can be a feeler too. That there's a different level of feeling that Libra does, but it's very specific, and I want to get down to that in a moment. But pretty much, if you notice, I left out Virgo as well. Like Virgo, they have a different version of feeling too. But the feelers, in my opinion, trust their intuition, right? Which ones trust their intellect more, right? Which ones trust their intellect more? Well, we have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius. And okay, so those are the thinkers. Now that don't mean that the rest of the other three that I left out, which was Cancer, Pisces, they think too, but they think differently. So I usually pick those up based off of the energy signatures that they are. So let's consider something, right? Something big that I didn't add in my my way of structuring things. Fire energy, earth energy, and water energy, they all have a very similar like use of the energy. They're felt usually. Fire, something's hot when you get close to it. It's warmer, right? That's a feeling. Earth, we walk on earth every day. There's nothing that's on this earth that we have not actually touched and felt that's real. Earth, right? Water, like when we plunge into the ocean, when we plunge into a pool, when we have a sip of water, that is energy that we are replenishing with ourselves. That's used to heal, to give back. The only thing that can't feel is the mind. So a lot of times, right, the mind plane doesn't have any attachment to the physical. It doesn't have any attachment to the mysticals of the world, the sensations. They don't sensate. There's no sensation with the mind. I mean, we can feel things in our head, but that's as far as it goes. The brain does not touch. The brain does not feel. The brain sends out information and transmits information and receives information. So there, in that sense, thinking can sometimes be the matter over feeling to some signs, and vice versa. Sometimes somebody feels more than they think. If that makes sense. Why are we talking about this? Well, we're talking about compatibility, right? So if we say that a Virgo is looking for a partner to run a business, would a Virgo want to pick a Cancer, or would they want to pick an Aquarius? Would they want to pick a Sag? Would they want to pick a Scorpio? Now, you're going to think, okay, cool. Which one of those options would you lean towards? I would say all of them. The reason why I say all of them is because there's a specific need for everyone's tailored interests. So we're going to narrow it down to just love, right? For business and stuff, that varies and is way easier. It's way easier to figure out what you need, what better compatibility would be for what, for who. But also, guys, I want to choose it up. The reason why I'm talking about all this, and the reason why I said all of them are a good answer, is because even what I'm about to say to you today does not mean it's the absolute truth. It's a perspective and a theory that I'm going based off of what I've seen and experienced. And that doesn't mean that how you interact with somebody based off of a sun sign does not mean that's how it's always going to be. Because remember, our sun signs are just the tip of the iceberg. It is not the end-all, be-all. So let's focus on the love aspect. For love, what exactly would a Virgo pick for their partner? That's the biggest question. Like, let's be honest. Like, how many Virgos are out here today? How many Virgos are in the building right now? because I feel like between Virgos and Virgos, Capricorns, and Aquarians, and even some Leos too, as well as this is pretty much it though. Like Leos, they Leos don't have necessarily a hard time finding a partner. It's just like I feel like it's harder for them to find someone that accepts all of them. It's the biggest part for Leo. Virgo, they have a hard time finding a partner because they're told that they're too picky. But the situation is this: Virgo has very specific needs. They know what their needs are. They know who and what can fill that void. It's just that they haven't run into them yet, right? So, a lot of Virgos too I've talked to say they don't know who their partner is or have no idea who their best partner would be. And that's, in my opinion, is like this. Well, of course you don't know. Your 7th house is Pisces, right? And it's like, what does that mean? What does that mean that my 7th house is Pisces? Well, simple. It's not about what looks good. It's about what feels good. And Virgos do feel, right? That's like, you're wondering, wait a minute, you just omitted them in the feelers. The reason why I did is because their initial instinct is not necessarily to feel, which is why they're not considered the feelers. They're the thinkers. And the reason why they're the thinkers is because their ruling planet is Mercury. So, with that perspective in mind, it's easy for a Virgo to think their partner instead of feel their partner. It's also harder for them, perhaps, not to everybody, not for all Virgos, harder for Virgos to feel their partner. Mainly because there's a specific energy signature that they're looking for. That's not a bad thing. It's just, there's a special calling for their one. Special calling for their person, right? So, who are the best compatible matches for Virgo? And I know we're not even talking about Aries first. We're not gonna start from the beginning. We're gonna start from probably the hardest to the easiest. Okay? Who is the best partner for Virgo? Well, I'll give you 3 good options. 3 good options that I've concluded as to what would be the perfect match for Virgo. Perfect match for Virgo would be a Capricorn, Scorpio, okay? And then, last but not least, a Pisces. Now, I'm wondering why, I'm sure a lot of you guys are like, what? Pisces? Why Pisces? Isn't it the opposite sign? Yes, it is. And the reason why a Virgo would perfectly match with a Pisces is because there is a special magical connection between a Pisces and a Virgo when those two can connect. It's almost like, it's like the lightning rod from space to the earth. That's really what I feel Pisces energy is to Virgo, right? But what is Virgo to Pisces? Well, it's the tree that grows to touch the sky, right? To reach the ideas, to connect with the ideas. There's a beautiful romantic energy the sky has. It's filled with so many lights. It's dimly lit. It's dark, but it also has this very intimate feeling. The ideas that the sky shows is the ideas, the stars that the sky shows is dressed in such a way that can offer something beautiful to everyone. It's always offering something beautiful to everyone. So when I see a Virgo, I'm thinking, is this Virgo connected to their Pisces energy? Usually Virgos will connect with their opposite signs if they are not connected to their feelings, right? If they're very practical, they're very mental in their mind, they're going to attract a lot more emotional people, which a lot of times that's where Virgo gets that whole, not codependent thing, but they feel the need to protect, they feel the need to help, they feel the need to jump in, right? It's because they see things that their hearts do not allow them to get misconstrued, right? So, like, for instance, what is real for Virgo, it always may be different for the other person because the person that they're dealing with may be a feeler. Like, think about Virgo is usually attracting people that feel, usually attracts people that are more sensitive, usually attracting people that are more sensitive. And it's interesting because I have a friend of mine who describes their partner as very shy and very sensitive. Okay? So it's like, and he's a Virgo. So it's like, Okay, I see what's going on. It's the sensitive types. It's the types that don't really, that, that have their own, they're very discerning, but they don't necessarily have they don't really care to pronounce themselves, if that makes sense. So why are we talking about Virgo first instead of we talk about Aries? Well, the reason being is because Virgo, I feel, is one of the hardest signs to pinpoint, mainly because Virgo has, for a long time, been, considered inaccurate to other Virgos, right? So the reason I've always had this kind of thought process in my mind as to why that is happening. Why is that so? Why does Virgo feel so unable to match that energy? And then I started to think something. Everywhere that everyone has Virgo in their chart feels like nobody really understands them. That area, like the 6th house. You don't need to be telling anybody what to do with their health, right? Because the only person that really knows what to do with their health is the person that has the health issue. Think of it. Virgo rules the 6th house for a reason. And that 6th house is to do with the health, the body, right? How one feels, right? And it's conscientious knowing of that feeling. That's why Virgo rules the 6th house. It's using what you feel and knowing what you feel and using it to practical means, or applying it to methods of healing, of feeling good, right? Or exercise, what your body needs. It's the function, the routine of the day to day, getting your body in a constant flow of routine to feel a certain way, right? So does that mean you're doing it because you feel good, or are you doing this because that's what you want to do? But think about this. Think about any Virgo that you've ever talked to. Do you ever tell a Virgo what to do? And then have you ever heard what their response is? I already know that. I already knew that. I already know that. And I feel like we look at the houses. We look at the 1st house, the 5th house, the 4th and 5th house, the 7th house, the 8th house, in the 11th house for all of our relationships. We look at those 5, right? So 1st, 4th, 5th, 7th. It's a little bit more than 5. 8th and 11th. So 6. We look at 6 houses to determine what is our compatible signs. What is our compatible relationships? So, with that perspective, right, I feel like there is a lot to consider with all those houses to find the right match. But one of the ones that I feel like we miss completely is actually our 6th house. How is our 6th house going to be the house of matching someone? Well, simple. It's the part of our life that no one can dictate, no one can determine, except for Virgo. So, I'm not saying that your 6th house is where the relationships are. It's wherever Virgo is in your chart. So I should have said, so pretty much what I'm saying is, the 6th house doesn't have anything to do with relationships per se. But Virgo is a very prime element to where we receive and where we give. So in order for us to find the right partner, we have to find what we believe we cannot have outside of ourselves. That connection with that is almost like a very Vista kind of feeling. I don't know if you guys are aware of are familiar with the Vistal Virgins, but that kind of Vistal, Virgo is the Virgin, and I feel like it's very connected with with Vista. And there are two different kind of energies, right? Vista is the energy of the inner flame, what belongs to you, what that no one else can ever have. Virgo has the very similar principle. So I feel like finding wherever Virgo is in your chart will help you find why it's so hard to find that perfect one. Because wherever that energy is, it also links to Pisces, the creation of magic. Like, that is magic in itself, Pisces. So if you know what is yours, you know what is sacred to you, you know what matches your energies, Virgo-wise, you'll know how the magic will follow. The magic will always follow. So, let's begin. Let's talk about the best compatibilities for an Aries. Aries, number 1. Okay? Actually, Yeah, let's do it, right? So, Aries. Aries is a fire sign. The first energy of the zodiac. Of course, I'm going to be going to Libra as they're probably, one of their best matches. But it's a karmic one, it's soulmate. So, in my opinion, the best signs that connect relationship wise is Aries and Gemini. Why is Aries and Gemini the best compatibility? Well, Gemini is the action and the feeling all at the same time. So Geminis feel quite a bit, which is why they kind of keep it light and fluffy, right? They have the tendency to just kind of like, nah. Let's not talk about this. Let's not do this. You know what I mean? Like let's not overwhelm ourselves with too much feeling that we cannot think through it. So that's my understanding of Gemini. Gemini doesn't like to get so wound up in the emotion because the farther Gemini goes in the emotion, the harder it is to rationalize. Like I feel like Gemini is the first consciousness of realizing the power of the mind and how it can overcome and overpower the mind. Think about it. We always think that the mind is the one that has the most control. In a way, it does because we use it all the time to do something that we probably shouldn't be letting the mind do, right? And I got this perspective from speaking with my friends, and it clicked to me. Like, it clicked to me like that. Like, the mind perhaps is not necessarily the tool in which guides us to where we want to go, where we need to be. Where we need to be is right here, right? It's the frequencies, is whatever marching pattern we have to our heart. So Gemini and Aries is full of passion, full of energy, full of let's do it, let's go for it. And Gemini is like, let's think things through to some degree. Like, they're on board, but think about it. They're like partners in crime. If you have the fire and you have the brain, you can do a lot of crazy stuff with that. So I feel like Gemini would be the perfect partner for Aries. One of the perfect partners for Aries, because those two have the power. They're the brains and the action, and those two can do some amazing things. Now, where Gemini and Aries can end up getting themselves in some trouble is if things go out of hand and they can't necessarily go back, which can happen. Right? So then we're going to kind of hope that there's some earth energy that's prominent in either one of those charts, because at least somebody will be able to hold it down. So it's important to note that Aries and Gemini can be a really powerful couple. They may have the most spiciest arguments, or depending on the Gemini, right? Because there's certain Geminis, if they have a afflicting earth, they won't engage, believe it or not. I like Gemini with a Taurus moon. If they get too wound up, they're just done. It's interesting. So, at least from my perspective and my dealings with a Gemini and Taurus. So, they can have the energies to kick off greatly. But if things happen to go out of hand, it's very easy for that to spiral into chaos. Right? So, let's move on to Taurus. Right? These are like unlikely, unthought of connections, right? And that's what I think the best connections are, the ones that we never thought of. So why did I choose, really quickly before we move into Taurus, why did I choose Gemini for Aries? Well, Aries is a young energy. It's an energy, I say young energy in the sense of they're always ready to go, always ready to do something, always ready to take action, always ready to just go into some sort of direction, no matter where it goes, no matter what it is. And sometimes there's no goal in sight. It's just about doing it for them. Gemini, that it kind of helps to direct the course of action. Now, even Aries and Sag can be a really good couple. But the thing that I feel that can happen with Aries and Sagittarius is that Sagittarius tend to go on their own path. They don't really need to redirect a beam. All right, they have their own beam to direct. So a lot of times, Aries is just like a burning fire right next to them, and they're just like, well, you do you, man. So it can work, but if Aries is not utilized in the relationship, he can burn on his own, which is great, or she can burn on around her own. The Sag won't really have anything to do with it, right? It just doesn't have anything forward with it. It's just okay, Aries, you got your own goals, you're on fire. I'm not quite sure what to do with that because I'm barely trying to figure out what to do with this, right? Because Aries is looking, Sagittarius is looking to the sky like, where do I go? Where do I go? Like, they're not going to pop off immediately. Aries is probably going to pop off all the time because they don't have any. They don't care. Like, there's nothing to keep me from not popping off. So the brains of the operation, brains to the action. That's all it is. Now, Taurus is one of the feelers, like I was suggesting. Taurus is one of the feelers, as well as one of the thinkers, as I mentioned, I think before. So they think quite a bit before they even take action, right? That's the reason why they take such a long time with movements, right? Taurus, I don't know if there's any Taurians in the house, but I don't know how many times probably y'all have been made fun of for being slow, eating too much, and being lazy. But the thing is, Taurus, because I'm a Taurus rising, and my mom's a Taurus, one of the things about Taurus energy is that they take very slow times doing something, mainly because they're being very, very, very thorough. There's something that they're taking their time to perfect in every step. They're not rushing the process because they want perfection in every step. They rule the second house, which is a value. So they take what they have very, very, very seriously. It's like, it's practically Scorpio, right? Their opposite sign is Scorpio. They take what they have very seriously. As a matter of fact, to the point of where it becomes fatal for some people, right? Like, this is my passion. I wouldn't be on this earth without my love, without this passion, without this thing. Taurus is the same way. And we always think that Taurus is attached to material goods, but what we're finding out with Uranus and Taurus right now, as far as the stars go, that's not the case. They don't care about the material. The material is null and void. Like, legitimately, Taurus just cares about the emotional feeling that they have attached to things, which is why they seem so materialistic. So with that in mind, what makes a good partner for Taurus? If they value the outside because of what reminds them of their emotional feeling. Well, Cancer. Why? And a lot of you guys are thinking, that's an interesting pair. Why do you say that? Well, think of it. Earth doesn't grow without water. It can't. Like, think of it. What happens when Earth doesn't have any moisture? It's dry. It becomes broken down even further into small little tiny particles that eventually just float away. It turns into absolute dust. We see it all the time. Middle East. The Sahara Desert. That's all Earth, not a lick of water. And why is that? Well, because there's nothing that gives it nutrients. Think about all that Taurus does, all the work that Taurus puts in. Taurus is also a fixed sign you have to consider. So fixed energy, believe it or not, they're fixed energies. Like, they're like the points of a table. Think of all the fixed signs: Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo. Like, they're on those spectrums there, right? And they intercross all the time. But they are the ones that hold the whole thing down, right? Without the four legs of a table, we would be like, unstable. We'd be all acting like Geminis. Okay, no offense, Gemini. Okay, I'm a Gemini moon. I can say it. Okay, I can say it, Gemini. Okay, don't judge me. All right, I'm kidding. Geminis judge all the time, guys. Don't act like they don't. I'm just playing. I'm playing. But think of it, they're the ones that hold it down. So, of course, Cancer would be a perfect match for Taurus. The reason being is because Cancer is healing energy. It's the mother, it's the nurturing, it's the rules the fourth house. What's our roots? What is ours? So, thank you, doing great. Look at good health and wealth. Thank you so much. So, but yeah, Cancer's the healer. You go to your mom when you go and you fall off your back, you scrape up your knee, right? When you go, I don't know about y'all, but that's what happened to me one time. I was taking my bike, I was rocking back and forth, just booking down like the little pathway. There was my mom, she was a Taurus, very prideful of her things, very prideful of what she believed was hers, and we were hers, no doubt, no doubt. And so there was only a certain point that we could go. So I was starting to, bike down the hill, and I was about to pass the point where I was no longer allowed to go past. So I stopped my bike, got off, accidentally twisted it or hit the mailbox, and flew off my bike and scraped my knee, right? So immediately, what do you do when that happens, right? Immediately, what does a kid do when that happens? They go to their mother. Taurus is considered a baby, part of the baby area of the zodiac, right? Think of it. The first 4 signs are the ones that are the first initial ones. So, and this is how I view the signs in the first 4. They are the humans, right? They are the beginning, the starters, the initial spark. Kind of in a way, this is my way of like still doing what I was going to do anyway. When I changed the topic for today, I was going to talk about 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, that's pretty much it. 1, 2, 3, and 4 is the first numbers that actually carry on. That, when doubled, has significant changes, heightened energy spikes, totally different reads. So, of course, when Taurus is doing work, when Taurus is putting in effort, a lot of the times, which Taurus has the ability to do, and is told all the time through Empress energy, right? I do tarot too, so Taurus is like Empress is Taurus as well. They can take care of themselves, but how do they take care of themselves? They take care of themselves around an oasis. You know, they drink water, they eat. You know, food has water in it, and one of the things that I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm sure everybody has said this. The food that will never be able, like, you can never shake a Taurus out of, is their mom's cooking. What is Cancer gonna do? Being a mother. But not only that, they are able to provide a home, a safety net, the security. And it's because they have a protective shell of their own. They're the crabs, right? There's a reason why they have an exoskeleton. The outside world is too harsh for them to have their soft insides exposed, like us human beings. So, Empress energy. Okay, to good health, wealth. Yes, but Taurus is not the mother. Cancer is the mother. Cancer rules motherhood. Taurus rules what is hers, right? Because if you think about it, Taurus and the Empress, she's a mom to be. She has not had her children yet. She's someone that's cultivating and creating the child in her stomach. She's not really a mom yet. She's someone that's responsible for the burdens of another life in her stomach. She's creating a life in herself. So she's having to take care of herself to be able to take care of the baby, because the baby is not an entity of its own yet. So, yes, it can be motherly. It shows us how to be the mother to ourselves more than it shows us to be the mother to other people. So that's why Taurus and Cancer, in my opinion, work. Now, where do they fall apart, or where is this energy where they may not necessarily click all the time? It has to do, believe it or not, it has a lot to do with thinking, or the communication, right? The swords and energy of it. So, when you don't have anything to kind of break that barrier of non-communication, a lot of things can get lost in translation. Easy peasy. With no swords anywhere. And now this is not including people that may have a strong afflicting air energy in either one of them. Like people that have are Gemini moons with Cancer suns, they can be some really strong communicators. Same with Taurus. Taurus has something like a Libra moon. Well, yeah, Libra moon, they're more fair. But Gemini or Aquarius somewhere, or even Scorpio. If they have a Scorpio moon, especially, their capability to communicate can be heightened. Scorpio doesn't rule communication, but the third house is Aquarius. So if you're going by that scope, they can be very strong communicators. Okay? So it all depends on the aspects, but typically if we're just looking at sun sign astrology, Gemini and Cancer, they will always have an issue with seeing things clearly. What is real? Because think about it. Water, emotion, feeling, that's dark. It's not evil. It's not bad. It's a part of us. That dark energy is what heals us every day. So we need to not think that dark energy is bad, right? So that's dark energy. Dark energy, when you look at something black, you can't really understand what's happening, right? When you're going through things in the dark, you can't see. And Taurus, earth energy, that's dark energy too. But that dark energy is a beautiful blend of action as well, of light energy, which is why it's considered to be something real. It's a mixture of light and dark energy that creates, but it's not one that's well understood all the time. You know, we always, like, we think of Taurus, we think of the seed, the thing that's being planted, and a lot of times the thing that sprouts and grows into something more. And a lot of times we don't really know how that happens. We honestly maybe sometimes forget that there's even a need to say anything about how that process goes, because it takes such a long time for it to grow in the first place. Like, usually when we get our emotions going, right? Think about all the emotions. Sometimes we don't need to say anything. So those elements right there, those two together can be perfect in regards to marrying, as long as they trust each other, is on the same page. When do they know when they're not on the same page? They'll feel it. But unfortunately, what could happen is that there's may not be a lot of strong communication that allows them to be able to communicate what's happening around them. Let's go ahead and move on to Gemini. Gemini's got very interesting stuff, right? Because Gemini can be kind of seen to kind of work around with everybody, or not necessarily, like, they're not the floaters necessarily of the zodiac, which I'll get to the floaters in a moment. But Geminis are more of like the chameleons of the zodiac, in my opinion. They cloak, they transform, they shift, they morph, they do all kinds of things, right? They don't necessarily have a strict energy signature. Why? Well, because they are the first element, the first sign of duality. Aside from Pisces being the ultimate version of duality, Gemini is the basic duality. And why do I say basic? They're literally the mind and the body. That's it. Then they have the twins that create the two. They create the third entity that creates the connection. Their conversation is the third entity, always. So when we think of the lovers, right? The man, the woman, and then the angel, that's the conversation. That's the relationship. That's the creation. That's the non-existent creation, or the concept that binds the two, right? Think of it, like an angel. If you're looking at it from a very theoretical form of usage, an angel is no more than a medium. The communicators for God, the messengers, the liaison. And the liaison for Gemini is their talking. That's the only way you know Gemini. Now, a lot of people accuse Gemini of being liars, right? Because they change, they morph, they do this, all this, blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, of course you're going to think they're liars, because you're not looking at what's happening between the twins. Typically, what happens between two twins is that they have conversations, and they morph, they change, and they vibe, and they do a different thing. They always change. They're not actually lying. It's like very similar to the reputation of the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups looks like he's a player, right? He's all sweet, all talk, and doesn't really actually have any oomph to back that up. It's very similar to Gemini, but Gemini is not someone that won't back up their stuff. It's just that they change their mind constantly, because their minds are not one. They're split in two. So how do we find some sort of sign that matches that madness? Okay? Now, that energy goes perfectly with Aquarius. Now, I want to make this very clear. Gemini's perfect partner is Aquarius, in my opinion. Mainly because think of Gemini, right? Like I said, they're the two twins. Aquarius rules 11. The self against the self. A self with the self. And the fact that their ruling planet is Uranus, which is madness in itself, they know exactly how to use that energy, because they deal with that madness every day. Madness with madness can be really, really interesting. So, of course, anybody that's on here watching, if you do see a Gemini and Aquarius together, you might want to run for your life, because it all depends on whatever the two can come up with. That will, that can come up with some crazy stuff. there is an element of understanding that Gemini and Aquarius can have. And typically Gemini and Aquarius, they could be great friends as well. But Gemini and Aquarius with their romance energies, like it's a little different, right? Gemini, I don't know if a lot of you notice, like Geminis, they have the capacity to be very romantic, but Geminis typically aren't, not necessarily in the traditional sense. Like, for us, they have fairy tales. The thing about they're more like Disney. It's not like it's unrealistic in a sense, but it's more of like the energy of Gemini when it comes to love is one of like, you know, seriously wonderful feelings and all this wonderful stuff. But at the end of the day, Gemini likes to be logical. They like to be like straight to the point. They don't really want to fuck around with emotion too much. They're like, okay, that's great, you know, but what's the facts? I dated a Gemini, and that relationship was not very romantic. And not saying that Geminis can't be romantic. They can be. It all depends on what, you know, if they have any water energy in their sign, you bet your ass you're going to get romances up, okay? But this Gemini that I dated had an Aries moon. So, believe it or not, right, then that wasn't very, like, there was no romance. He was very focused on philosophy, talking things through, like, you know, discussing politics and technology. All those things that Gemini loves to talk about and do because it has something to do with the process of thinking. They love to explore the process of thinking, and Aquarius does that too. Now, another perfect sign for Gemini, and the reason why I'm giving them two is because it also depends on which twin the Gemini is more of. So we have the logical one, which I would say definitely goes to Aquarius, but the emotional one would probably go Virgo. Now that all depends if Virgo will take Gemini, but it's I feel like actually I take it back. It's Pisces. I'm sorry, Pisces. Gemini would be best with Pisces. The reason why I say that is the duality of it as well. They all understand the duality of it, the fluctuation of the feeling in the mind. Pisces has a very patient nature about them. I don't know if you've ever met a Pisces. Like a Pisces in their energy, in their light, in my opinion, they're very peaceful. They don't really say much. They don't need you to say much. They just feel you and they understand and they can sympathize, right? Their energy of empathy, deepest empathy. So Pisces and a Gemini together, which is totally like, in a lot of people's eyes, like an unlikely couple, is someone that would definitely suit a Gemini that's on the more of the body rule, if that makes sense. They represent the twin that's the feminine, the emotional one. And I'm like, you guys probably wondering, why am I picking the last two signs of the end of the zodiac for someone that's on the third? Well, the reason why is because the duality portion of them is quite strong. And anyone in the early stages, even like up to even like Scorpio, I was going to say Scorpio was going to be the next one. But the reason why I stop right at Scorpio and start dealing with the other end is because Gemini has a very rocky energy. It's very rocky. It's very, you know, it's not consistent. Very, like, the reason being is because they're mutable. Their energy is meant to change all the time. So it can't be the same. It can't constantly be like, ooh, yeah, like constant. It can't be like Taurus. So it has to be like the energy best suits around energies that are a little more heightened. Of course, that does mean that they are more probable to bring more chaos, bring more crazy, bring more instability. But it all depends on how that works. And a lot of people probably wouldn't necessarily pair a Gemini with another mutable energy. But with Sag and Pisces being very similar in their vibrations, and they can be very grounded in their own way, Pisces and Gemini work really, really good. The reason why I never even went to Gemini and Sagittarius, even though they're the best of the best opposites to match up together, is because Gemini, like I was explaining about how Sagittarius has their own energy to figure out what to do with. Same thing. If you have a crazy, like, I have all these ideas and blah, 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 Gemini's like, Aquarius, Sagittarius will be like, oh, that's cool. Well, that's neat. Huh, okay. Well, let me see. What does this look like here? Bam. And then like, oh, okay, so that's where my arrow went, so I'm gonna go over here. Are you coming with? Well, I don't know, Gemini. Well, why wouldn't you go? Because blah, 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 blah. Gemini goes, the other Gemini person, so my Gemini goes, yeah, we should probably go with them. We don't see necessarily a problem with that. The heart Gemini is like, something's telling me not to go in that direction. I don't really think that's a good idea. The Sagittarius is like, what the fuck? Is this nigga talking to himself? And that's kind of what's going to happen, right? So Gemini, it's like, as much as Sagittarius is entertained, Sagittarius will get bored after 5 minutes. It's like, okay, you've been sitting here talking about yourself for too long. My destination is this way. If you're coming, you're coming. So Sag will leave. Sag will go by himself. And it's up to Gemini whether or not they follow. So that is why I would not have chosen Gemini and Sagittarius. So the two signs compensating with the two twins that Gemini has, Aquarius and Pisces. Who is the best lover for Cancer? Now, we just talked about how Taurus and Cancer were great lovers. They could be great partners. But Cancer has got needs too. So, we all know that Cancer is the mom, right? She takes care of everybody, loves on everybody, showing all these people this love, right? Always providing space and a home for other people. But they're also very sheltered, very guarded on their own, right? Think about it. If you ever talk to a Cancer and you ask them about their relationship, they'll tell you their past relationships, where they've been hurt mostly. And then you could kind of assume that when they're talking about the pain of their past, that means I will not cross that line. We will not cross the line if I sense that there's there. Is that something that, if we're going down that direction, right? That's a very typical Cancer thing to do. Cancers are, have the tendency to remember their pain, to remember that the reason why they had that exoskeleton in the first place. It's like, I ain't getting hurt again. This is why this armor's on, right? But they also love so deeply. They also love so passionately. And they give a fuck about people, right? Especially their family. It's constant, right? When we hear Cancer men are more, the mama boys. There's a reason for that. It's because that softness is what built their strength in the outside, right? It's what taught them this exoskeleton ain't coming off. Is their mother, the precious, that's theirs. That's their feminine energy and incarnation of themselves, right? They see their physical softness, right? That's why, if you think about it, right, a crab can always come out of their home walking sideways, but their home is burrowed underground. It's kept hidden somewhere underground. You're never going to see that. It's because they keep their stuff serious. So who would be the best partner for that? I bet a lot of y'all are already thinking what I'm thinking. Scorpio! Where you at? Scorpios take this very seriously. Okay? Scorpios, if they hadn't had Pluto as their ruling planet, none of this would make sense. What do you mean? Well, simple. Pluto rules transformation, right? Extreme transformation. You're not just going to go into the dirt. You're going to go to the core of the center of the earth. Like, that's how serious Pluto is, right? You ain't going to go underneath. You're not just going to go under the rug. You're going to be going underground. You know what I mean? You're going to be digging in and picking up the root of the tree. If you wanted to uproot a tree, you're not going to just chop it at the neck. You're going to go underneath. You're going to uproot the whole motherfucking thing. That's Scorpio energy. But they understand the vulnerability of that. And also, Scorpio would probably be the only person that can sympathize and get deep enough into a Cancer's love and space and home and even into their exoskeleton to help them purge when they need to. Cancers can have the tendency to stay in one space, not move, be unmoving. Mainly because, 1, it's safe, 2, it's familiar, and 3, they are not going to do it if someone else is going to be telling them to do it, because that is outside of their shell, right? That's not within the vibrations themselves. If they didn't come up with the idea, it's even heightened as to why is that person telling you how to do this or what to do. Unless they feel something is right in them, they're not going to make any changes. But Scorpio can get deep enough. Scorpio is able to, usually can, and usually does, get deep enough to lift Cancer out of their hole. Show Cancer to the world. and Cancer could be as it is. There's a vulnerability to Cancers that only I feel Scorpios and Capricorns can take very seriously. So again, for them, it's like Scorpio and Capricorn, right? Like the safety of Capricorn, like they don't really need any more safety. Cancers, they already know how to keep themselves safe. Scorpio knows how to get to the bottom of it to gain that respect and not necessarily take advantage. You know, Scorpio doesn't take advantage, but it does help to push their revolution. In a way, Cancer needs more healing than probably most people, aside from Pisces, mainly when they go through something traumatic, because there's something that's being lifted out of them. So Scorpios and Cancers, in my opinion, Cancer's best partner would be Scorpio. Just mainly because the hardships that come, the difficulties in their life, the deaths, the transformations in their life, and I say death not just like with losses of people, but like the death of ego. Scorpio will be there because they've been through that throughout their entire life, right? So absolutely there, and they need someone that understands. If they had someone that was not able to understand, like a Virgo may not necessarily understand that like the death that they're experiencing. They were just like, hey, look, there's some things that I understand you're going through it, but like we still have a life to live, right? Virgo's like, we gotta keep it moving. Like they're ruled by Gemini, by Mercury. They gotta keep it moving. That wouldn't necessarily be. It would be insensitive to a Cancer. Like a Cancer would see that as like, wow, you don't even care about me. Like a pair of Gemini up with a Cancer, like, oh my God, you're crying about that again? Oh my God. Cancer would be like, damn, did you give a fuck? Do you give a fuck about me at all? Even Taurus even has that's where the communication can kind of get messed up. Taurus could be like, I get that you're going through a hard time. We probably need to do this. They'll try to be gentle, but they may still come off as though they are focusing on work or focusing on the practical, which will then be insensitive to a Cancer. Cancer needs to have someone that understands the severe depth of what they're feeling in order for them to trust moving forward with that person. Leo, and I know we're running out of time, so I may have to actually continue this in another episode. But we're gonna go through Virgo, and then we're gonna probably stop there. Actually, we're gonna do Leo because we already did Virgo. Oh, actually, did we do Virgo? Yeah, we did Virgo. So Leo. What is Leo? Leo is associated with the sun. And a lot of astrologers consider the sun as the heart, right? For me, the sun is very similar to our heart signature. Not necessarily the heart itself, but it's connected to our heart in a very similar way. They have very similar vibration, right? Whatever you feel usually is something that you feel proud of, right? Like if you create art, this is your creation. This is what came from your feelings. If you made music, that's what came out of your feelings. You so there's a part of you in them. And with Leos, whenever they step out, who they are, their essence, that is what they show to the world, because that is a piece of them that they're always sharing. There's a piece of them that they're always sharing. There's a piece of them that they're always giving out to the world. They're always putting up on display, not to be admired, but necessarily to show and represent their existence. Represent, this is me. I was also talking to Ravynne Fire, and I was thinking Leos are not the male lion they're not the male lion. Like, as far as the beauty of it, the figurehead of the lion, the male lion, that is the face of Leo. Like think about it. A male lion looks gorgeous. Their mane is all well pampered. They look all fabulous. Fur coming out of their tail. Like they got a little extra fur on their tail to just add that accent to their neck dress, right? That's the appearance. That's not Leo's essence. The essence of Leo is actually, in my opinion, a lioness. The protectiveness, what's theirs, the pride in what in taking care of everything. Think about it. Lionesses hunt, raise their babies. They take care of their own doggone husbands. They ain't doing nothing. Like the lions, the male lions, they just kind of crawl up on Pride Rock going, bleh. Lioness, they're like, bitch, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You cute, but I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna take care of my baby. I'm gonna take care of my other baby, and I'm gonna also take care of me because that's what I need. Shit. And they look like they do it in style. I don't know if you all watch the Discovery Channel. If you ever watch a lioness do their shit, they are just styling it out. They don't give a fuck. They're like, yeah, this is my shit, and they look good doing it, taking care of the kids, especially hunting. They're all in the grass, like, you know, they're doing the thing, and they got style behind it. That, in my opinion, is the essence of Leo. Not the male lion, it's the female one. So what best matches the female lion? And I've seen this couple actually quite a bit. And I'm not unhappy with it. And it's actually Taurus. Taurus. And the reason why I say Taurus, and you're like thinking, why would we pair two fixed signs together? That sounds like a dangerous mixture. Well, think about this. Taurus doesn't need to really need to say anything. They don't really need to put their paw down on things to claim it to be theirs. They know what's theirs. You try to take what's theirs, that's a problem. Otherwise, Taurus will leave everything that they love and they have on display, right? These are my toys. These are my games. These are my collective items. These are my things, right? They have pride in them, but not pride like a Leo. It's more of like, this is a part of me. These are things that I have connected emotionally. Thank you for taking a look at it and admiring them with me. These are mine. But they don't need the validation of it being theirs. They just know it's theirs. For Leo, they don't necessarily need the world to know that that's theirs, but they also want the world to know what, the beautiful things that they have that helps bring the light out of themselves, right? So Taurus is very good at doing that. Taurus is very good at providing the platform for Leo to stand on, to roar, right? Not saying that Leo needs a platform from Taurus, okay? Very clearly, none of the fixed signs actually need each other. None of them. But they work in tandem together when their vibrations are on point. I wouldn't I would never compare a Leo and a Cancer. That is the quickest way to upset a Cancer. The reason why is because Cancer has, I'm not saying Leos are insensitive. Let's just be straight up first. Leos are not insensitive, but Leos are tough. Leos are tough. They've been through a lot. Believe it or not, a lot of Leos, they give the impression that they're the center of attention. They want all this grandiose, stuff. They're sensitive and they're shy, right? While Cancer and a Leo can understand each other in a very intimate way about feelings, Leo has a way. They're strong. They can take criticism. They can take a lot, right? They can take a lot of things. Cancer, the second something is slightly uncomfortable, they're not comfortable anymore. Like, the second something's off, they're not interested. Leo, if they sense something's off, they're not going to run. They're not going to be like, never mind. They're going to be just like, okay, well, this is where I'm at. If you come to me, you bring in some problems. But I'm not moving. Cancers, they're like, well, let me not deal with this, because I don't really want to deal with that. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Leos are blunt. Cancers, they don't speak. Cancers, they're like, look, I shouldn't have to tell you that I'm uncomfortable. If you can't feel me, then you don't need to be around me. Or I don't need to be around you. Let me get the hell out of my way. Hell out your way. That's the kind of vibration that Cancer has, right? Cancer, yes, is the mother. She will protect what is hers, but that's if you infiltrate her own lair. She will never, if she's outside of her home, if Cancer is outside of her home, you can bet your ass, if you bring in some trouble, Cancer's out. Never mind. The only time that Cancer will snap back or feel the need to is if you're attacking their home directly. Think about it. Think about every crab, right? If you ever harass a crab, the crab is going to run away from you. Or unless you agitate the shit out of it, then it's done. Then it's ready to snap the shit out of you back. It's like, fuck it, you know what? Let's just go. I ain't gonna lose nothing, right? But typically, crabs, they don't necessarily want to fight you. They don't really want to come at you and snap you all the time. At least from my understanding. Like, they don't really go out to hurt people. Leos, they don't go out to hurt people either, but if you are prey, they will find you. Right? If they sense something's off, and they can smell that you have something there that registers to them as some food, they're gonna come for you. And they don't need to be in their house to do it. So Taurus will represent no matter where they are. Their home is where their heart is, truly. Same with Leo. So wherever Taurus goes, Leo will go, and their home is literally their connection. That is literally their home. When they invite you to their home, it's a physical representation of what is theirs together. And the beautiful thing about a Leo and a Taurus connection is that Leo can love what the Taurus has, not because of what the Taurus has, but because of the emotional connection that the Taurus has to the things that they are connecting their emotion to, right? There's like a heightened emotional value to it. And so that combination I found for Leo, and two, think about it. Leo's always the constant person that always gets bullied. Think about it. Leo, think about it, the spectrum of the opposite signs. The most bullied signs in the zodiac, I feel, are Leo and Aquarius, aside from Virgo and Pisces. Most bullied. And the reason why I say bullied is because Leo is the forefront, right? When they have something they want to represent, they represent it with all of themselves. They have nothing secluded. Nothing is secluded in what is being represented. It's all them. And a lot of times people judge them for that, right? A lot of people judge them for that. Taurus takes them in and they show them that, they don't show them anything. They just provide the space to be calm, to be safe. No judgment here, right? There's nothing to be worried about. This is safety. This is stable. This is solid. This is your home. That's Taurus. This is, okay, people haven't been right for you. Like, you haven't been feeling fair, feeling like you've been treated fairly. Well, this is your stable place. Taurus has a capacity to be very, very, very stable, and they create very, very strong homes because they have that rock hard, they provide. And Leo, they put out so much. They put out such strong energy. Taurus can hold it down. Taurus can hold it down. A lot of people don't think Taurus can hold down. Taurus can. They do it all the time. So, this is only half of the zodiac. I can't wait to get into the rest of it, guys. Kind of running out of time here. But I want to pull everybody some cards. If that means we go overtime, we go overtime. Well, let's pull everybody some cards for the week. See, as far as what love brings for us this weekend, or throughout the week. Okay, so sorry, my voice is starting to go as well, so I know that I have to start drinking some water. I forgot to go grab some before the stream started. Actually, I did grab some. Wait, your girl. See, my Taurus rising saved my life. Okay. All right. So, considering that this is Aquarius season, Aquarius is gonna go first. Aquarius. What did we get for? And also, I know we only talked about the first 6, but hopefully I already said that Virgo's best match is actually Pisces, their opposite sign. So everybody that so for the 6 signs that weren't able to touch on today, we were talking about your 7th houses, guys. So this can be applied to you too, is because 7th house is the house of relationships and public enemies. So we just talked about the first 6. So your first 6 is the opposite signs. The opposite signs is the other half of the 6, right? So how you relate to people is also with the other half, with the first half that we just talked about. So it can be applied to you too. It just would be applied to your 7th house and how you relate to people, how people relate to you. Okay? Wow. We got a lot of cards that just blew up. But it hit the floor, so we're not going to pick those. Aquarius. Pisces, I believe. Nice. Let me see. Let me open this up here. Pisces, I believe. Interesting. What am I getting from this one? So, Aquarius. You guys are rocking a very big vibration right now. That vibration to me has to do with magic. Like I was saying before, that Pisces rules. Pisces rules magic. Neptune, magic. It's the disillusionment, right? Like, think of it. Like, I think of Neptune all the time as the wizard, right? But he's like the mixture of the wizard from Lord of the Rings and the wizard from The Wizard of Oz. He's both of those. And it's wild that I would think those two, but in a way, he does represent both of them. The illusion of what's actual power and the power of belief. Because think about it, Gandalf wouldn't be able to wield his magic if he didn't believe himself. And so, Pisces rules, I believe. Pisces rules, I believe. So, you guys are really believing in yourself, or at least believing in a certain thought process and theory that you're going for right now. Theory that you're moving forward with as we speak. Okay? And I feel like that is actually really cool, considering because we are in your element right now. We are in your sign. So whatever you think, whatever you know, may actually have a lot of a magical energy behind it. And I know I'm making all this sound woo-woo as hell, and I'm like, they're in the season of science. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, Aquarius, you're science, in my opinion, right? So I'm like, what are you talking about magic? Well, magic is in the eyes of the beholder. A lot of people, especially me, believe science is also magic too. So it's like the beauty behind what cannot be explained is being translated in a way that can be understood, but not understood. It's like there's still something that you're not getting, that you don't need to get. And well, that's not saying that you're saying that you want to get it, but I feel like you're not letting that why bother you, which is completely interesting because the science of the season is we're in science season, and we're not asking questions. We're not doing the investigation work. This is not about investigation here. This is about the result, but not necessarily in the sense of like waiting for something to come to a head, or to provide some sort of like test lab results, but more of like the process, just watching the experiment go, right? So what two reactions are causing the reaction, right? What two chemicals, what two elements, what two attributes are causing the reaction? That focus is all the reaction. So right now you're in a reaction period, and you're like taking the reaction and poking it while it's processed. Like, it's almost like, think of something like bubbling over, and you're taking a stick and you're just like, okay, poke, or something like you mix two elements together and it's creating some sort of like hard exterior, but it's still soft. So you're taking like a little pad and you're pressing it, you're forming it, and you're molding it to whatever you want it to be. Now, however these chemicals solidify, that is, however is whatever. But you know that the focus of it is not to expect it to harden as is. You're forming and melding it the way that you want it to, experimenting and playing with it, and you're seeing what happens while doing that, and if it will solidify. That's the kind of vibration I'm getting. So, with that said, let's see what that's coming up for. The sun. This is definitely having to do with what you know, man. You're only working with what you know. So there's high belief in what you know. High belief. And you're letting that high belief be the gateway. And again, the sun isn't always everything, right? It's not all of what you see. It's not all of what you know. The sun is not just like everything is now, right? It's whatever you need to see right here, right now. What's more important as we speak in this moment, right? And so that's it. Just focusing on what the process is taking you. And the relationship stuff, where that does talk about love, is that magic happens in the most mysterious ways. And because the sun is coming up, wherever we may be focusing may not necessarily be the direction that love will be hidden us. So Pisces always is all about misdirection too, right? Wherever we think that we know, wherever we think that we believe or see is coming, it's something's happening when we say the truth or communicate the truth or express something of honesty. When we truly vibrate who we really are, magic happens. Very interesting. Very interesting. Let's take a look at, oh man. Well, Phelan and I bet first and it fell straight up. So I'm keeping it. We have Aries for Pisces, straight away. So action for Aries is coming straight out of the woodworks. I am. So it's very interesting that we already have like a ton of cards that are element based only. So it's almost like you kind of are recognizing yourself in a very interesting light. Like you're recognizing your power, your strength, who you are. We're in your 12th house right now. So typically one would be facing their fears right now, facing a lot of things, their karmic past, right? So this doesn't mean that things that you've done to other people that you're repaying. That's not how karma works. It's way deeper than that. You're dealing with a lot of things from the past that you may have let define you. And I feel like with Aries, there's redefinition there. There's some sort of redefining the self. And what energy comes up with that? Wow, the Five of Swords. Yeah, redefining the self. And the Five of Swords would suggest sacrifice. You know, something that we give of ourselves. Something that we don't necessarily have to carry so much weight behind, you know? Like the Five of Swords has that energy of like, hey, if it don't work out for other people, don't work out. But that need to kind of like stamp it, if that makes sense, to get everybody to agree. That's the part that can feel like who you are gets in, like, not necessarily gets in the way or is not clearly understood, right? Because if everybody's giving you a perspective of what you're thinking, it can kind of divert from the focus. Or if you're just trying to drive an idea home, it may not necessarily connect with how you feel about yourself in actuality. So it's almost like the situation with the Five of Swords. It's this, Pisces, when it comes to love, knowing who you are in a relationship is from knowing who you are not. And it may feel like you're diverting the point, but whenever you hear something that makes this feel uncomfortable, to feel something wrong, it doesn't mean it's not correct for that person, but it does require compassion for a part of yourself that may have believed that at one point, or trying to become something more than that. Because you are not what this is. You're not a traitor. You're not someone that is horrible. But sometimes you're not even a saint, right? You don't have to be. And I feel like, honestly, the Five of Swords in a way is like the sacrifice of labels. And I say label mainly because of Aries, who I am. Are you what you are fighting for? Is your truth worth fighting for? Are you worth fighting for? And if you are, what truths have you been dealing with that actually don't match you at all? When doing so, I feel like that will bring the person that actually matches your energy quite closely to you. And I don't even know, I kind of have a feeling some of you guys may be having some karmic relationships right now. Or a relationship that shows you who you used to be or who you were and not who you are now. Interesting. Aries, you guys have 2 cards. 2nd house and 4th. Taurus and Cancer. So the emphasis in this reading here would tell me that there's a lot of looking to your home to find value in yourself. Because the 4th house is the roots, right? It's the home. Cancer rules the home. Cancer is family, right? Family, mother, all these things that have to do with where something comes from the family tree. And I feel like, looking back in a way is not necessarily giving you value to yourself. It's more of like finding where you resonate with that energy. Where do you resonate with where you're from? Who are you to yourself despite your upbringing, right? Or in light of it, right? So in doing so, the connection with your home seems like it will bring us about some sort of interesting, like, harmony. Because think of it, 2, 4, 2, 4. Those are even numbers that create 6. I feel like there's a sense of harmony that those two can bring. Having a loving connection with the heart will eventually bring in the beautiful harmonizing energy of 6, right? Together, give and take. But it has to start from finding value where you are. Some of this may have to do with your ancestors. Some of this has to do with just where you are now, what your new home is. I feel like it's more having to do with your new home in spite of your old one, right? The comparison, right? And it's not necessarily like to say you should be comparing between staying with your parents and being out on your own. It's more of like, from being at home, what valuable information have you gained so you can stand on your own 2 feet outside of that self? Very similar to that. But with relationships, this is more of like, who have you been in relationships to your mother, your sister, your brother, your uncle, your father, everything. What do you value about those relationships for you? And when you find that, it's easy to find someone that, if you're looking for someone that makes you feel like you're at home, that's a really good way to find one. You find a person like that. So, let's go ahead and pull Taurus a reading here. Taurus. I'm having a hard go with it. See, this one landed on me first before it hit the ground, so I'm keeping it, and it's excuse me, guys. Still recovering from being sick. Excuse me. Capricorn. I use. What has practical use to you right now? So that's your sister sign already, though. Capricorn is your sister sign, Earth energy. And so I feel like with you, Capricorn, with that coming up, it's like, right now it's all about what can I do with what, right? But really, how can I use myself, right? Not in the sense of like taking advantage or doing something where you're exploiting yourself. I don't think it's it's about exploiting yourself. But what I do think it has to do with how you use everything about yourself going forward, right? Like, what areas have you may not have considered to be useful, right? Maybe when you go into a supermarket and you think you need something, perhaps this is something based off of feeling your gut, feeling your body, trying to figure out where exactly, what other methods could you use practically. Let's get some more information here. Wow, 10 of Pentacles. 10th house. And with Capricorn. And Capricorn rules the 10th house as well. So the 10 of Pentacles would suggest is about family, the home, the commitments. And I feel like, because the 10 of Pentacles has to do with, wrapping a cycle up as well. This is really about finding your use of yourself, right? Gaining use of yourself again. But in a way, with 10 of Pentacles, it's almost like to extend, to elongate, to kind of stretch, if that makes sense. Because I feel like, especially with 22 coming up like this, like, I feel like that's double feeling. 22, the double purpose of a feminine energy, right? Like, it's almost like you're expanding the boundaries or the borders of your home to be able to contain the massive amount of vibrational energy you're giving to your circumstance, your love. For those of you that are in relationships, they're just coming out of it, there is a recalibration period for you. Like, I feel like with Capricorn coming up, it's like, okay, I've just been through an interesting relationship, or my relationship just ended, perhaps one that lasted a long time, and now I'm trying to figure out what can I do with what I know. Because through that process, you've become very wise. Very wise. And that wisdom can show great practicality. Like, it can give you great use of practicality. So I feel like it's about feeling it through. Like, how to use your feelings in a practical way. Because there's love here. Like, I feel like it's more familial though. It's love that you feel, and it's things that you feel. It's not to do with anything like money. Nothing real. If that makes sense. Nothing to do with that. And it has and the focus of it isn't the material. It's truly an emotional signature that can develop a very realistic shell. If that makes sense. Gemini. Let's go ahead and do this. Kind of shuffle the old-fashioned way here. How I shuffle like this only when I know that I need to kind of get some flow going here. Okay, Gemini. We got Grand Trine, blessings. Nice. So things are coming in for you. 46. It's 4-6. There's a stability of giving. Nice. I like that. And it's 8. No, that's 10. So nice. So blessings is coming for you, Gemini. Okay? I feel like lots of good things are coming in because your direction is, you're definitely lifting your emotional vibration. But this is like at a different level here. Like, you're dealing with that through the home, through the self, through the confines of your 4 walls, right? Your home. How do you do your daily living? Your connection with a home. What you get out of doing things on your own, with a structure, a sort of foundation. You know what I mean? And so that can bring a lot of great things, right? Your stability and give and take. It's a really great card. So lots of blessings. A Grand Trine can also suggest too that there is some energy that's really harmonizing. Like, the trines are sister signs connecting to each other. For example, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, they're all sister signs. If there was a Grand Trine, there would be something in Capricorn, something in Taurus, and something in Virgo. Something, a perfect triangle for all of them. And I feel like you're riding a wave of a very good transit. Or you're riding the wave of a very good energy that's happening in your life. True harmonization. And harmonizing not with the outside world, right? Like, I just use examples for explaining what the Grand Trine is, but with yourself. There's like 3 parts of you that is headed in a certain direction or pointing in some sort of direction, but they're working in a very harmonious fashion. And it's contained within itself. So wonderful, wonderful. And you have the 7 of Cups. Blessings are coming in, but I kind of find it interesting now that I was like, you're pointing in some sort of direction, but you're not necessarily consistent in that direction. With the 7 of Cups, your direction is all over the place, and the reason why is because you have great energy that can, when focused, it has great potential, but there's no focus for it right now. And I feel like with the 7 of Cups, I mean, it's only a matter of time before you figure it out. Like the 7, like whatever you want, whatever you set your mind to. And I feel like with the 7 of Cups, right? When you look at all these cups, you think these are great ideas, these are great options. However, how do I know I'm gonna actually get all that? The beauty of the Grand Trine is that it's the energy that flows. it doesn't have harsh aspects to it. It's an energy that's promoting growth. When we grow, we don't think about the consequences of it. We don't think about the end result of it. We don't think about how we're going to end growing. Think of it, a tree doesn't stop growing until it stops growing. They don't know when it's going to stop growing. So this is the same thing. So I feel like Gemini right now, you know that there's no guarantee. And I don't think that that's what's, like, I don't think that you're letting that keep you down anymore. It's like, you know that there is possibilities for great things to happen. There's great things to happen. But having the idea that you will know it right off the bat is kind of going out the window. So I feel like it's truly trusting the flow of your vibration. Like, you're truly trusting it now. It's like, even though there's a little, like, slight, like, hesitation, it's almost like you're learning to let your brain go to sleep or relax, be put in the back seat, and let the heart do the driving kind of deal. That's the kind of vibration I'm getting. Because you're harmonizing with yourself pretty big with the Grand Trine there. Cancer! What's up? Y'all have Scorpio. I transform. Damn. So you guys are going through some serious changes right now. Some of y'all may be dealing with a Scorpio as well, but you know, I feel like when Scorpio comes up, you're definitely going through something interesting. But this is personal, something deep, right? It's under the surface, I feel. But it's within the safety or the confines of yourself. Scorpio can represent a really dark place for me too. Like, when I see Scorpio energy, I'm like, ooh, you're hitting. There's a darkness within you that you're purging, that you're understanding through love, not through thinking. There's no thoughts that come up in here for this. You can communicate it later, but through the process of it, you're just gonna trust. You're just gonna feel it. So let's pull some additional information. The Page of Swords. My gosh, what? Wow. So that you have, so it's like you're going through something quite intense, quite intimate, and it's something that you may not quite understand right now. You have an idea, but the idea will further, and I don't think it's through communication. I don't think it's through messages. Like, it's perspective to me that the Page of Swords has. It's a truth that the Page of Swords has, and it can expand through his growth. But with 22 being being the feminine principle, right? The number for feminine energy, the absolute feminine energy, in my opinion. Well, circle this zeros, like, to me, absolute feminine energy. Number 2, like, is representing the feminine energy through vibration. There's an understanding of the heart that's way deeper than perhaps the surface is letting on. Does anybody see this? Probably not. Perhaps there's been a lot. Maybe there's some sort of aggressive communication, or maybe some sort of talking to people that may be feeling like they're like, oh, excuse me, shit, fine, or maybe not. Maybe I won't investigate. But I feel like mostly with the Page of Swords, there is a feeling that gaining more information will open the doorway to a purge. So whatever you don't know about yourself, about this transformation, is in a way golden, because there's nothing to mentally understand. This is an element of emotional intelligence. And with emotional intelligence, you just have to trust that your heart will guide you in the direction it needs to, and allow itself to perform its rebirth through the steps it takes. It's very difficult, but it's one that can be extremely powerful, because when you're done, usually you come out the other side and you vibe in a totally different vibration, usually higher than the when you left it, so huge. And what that tells me for love is that the relationships that will come in will reflect that change in yourself greatly. if you haven't gone through already the craziness now that Scorpio can usually bring, right? And I say craziness, but it's very clear. It's usually intense. Okay? So, if you haven't been representing it and you haven't been seeing it, you about to. You about to. Leo. What's up? What's up? What's up? Right, Leo has Uranus, which is genius. Oof. Alright, so we're talking about Taurus right now, okay? I'm kidding. Like, Uranus is in Taurus right now, but I felt inclined to bring, like, all of, like, the energy that we were just talking about earlier about the perfect signs for each of the signs. Interesting that Uranus is coming up. So, that's 9, Enlightenment, and 2. That's the 9, the card of the number of enlightenment. And so, the mad genius. So, to me, the Uranus kind of gives me tower vibes, right? Tower vibes is in, like, not that the world around you is just going to kind of happen to you. You're honestly constructing your own madness with Uranus. You're your own genius right now. 9s are cards or energies or individual energies that are of will. 9 in my eyes is the will, or is the evolved one, the enlightened one. And so there may be things that people will question, things that people may not understand, and I think there's even paths or directions in which you feel led to go, just go and do them, right? And you may not understand them. The method to the madness will be exposed. It always will be exposed, but after the madness has already happened. Let's see what's up. 2 of Wands. It just depends on what madness that you take first. Leo, what's up? It's like, you guys, it's like, you're like, I have some crazy ideas. Which one of these am I gonna pick? It's like that. It's almost like you guys have Death Note with your own ideas. And I mean that in the best way possible. I'm not saying that you guys are trying to kill people or anything, or trying to write people's names on the list. But you're like, you got a really dangerous list. Like, you already know that you're gonna do them. Like, that's the thing. Like, you already know you're gonna do them. So which one of those things you're gonna do? Well, here's a beautiful idea to help you pick if you're having a hard time. Close your eyes, spin around 3 times, and then whatever your finger lands on, just do that one. Because I think it doesn't matter. Whatever you want to start doing, it's going to kick off, and it's going to kick off in a way you didn't expect it to. However you take all the control of the chariot in that regard, it's always up to it's up to you in regards to, how you feel at the situation. But you got to get to that situation first to apply the maddening strategy. How does that help? What does this have to do with love? Well, love works in mysterious ways too. So where there is madness, there is, where madness cannot, necessarily always translate its intention. Love has a beautiful, mysterious, and crazy way of coming to be. So I feel like Leo right now, your direction and where you're going will bring in some love that, in a way that you didn't expect it to. And it all depends if there is true compassion along the path. And remembering that your intention is the one that's going to have that point. So I feel like whatever your intention is, Uranus will carry it. But you have to know what the intention is first. Picking whatever you're going to do doesn't really matter. It's the intention that matters the most. Okay. Virgo, we got I feel. Feeling is something that's coming up for Virgo right now. Why we getting that for Virgo? But feeling for me is being sensitive, being vulnerable. Something about being vulnerable. I feel. Trusting your intuition as well. Because I think this right now, this entire beginning of the year, 2020, it's just told us that the mind is not necessarily a part of this equation anymore. I think it'll be a part of it in 2023. But 2020, 2021, 2022, which is going to be even worse, none of this stuff is going to be thought out. And I feel like it's going to be easier to just not think about it. And I think, you know, I'm sure, like, even my Virgo part of myself is like, what are you fucking talking about? What are you talking about not thinking about it? Well, to be honest with you, if we sit here and think about everything that we're doing, we're not going to feel like we should be doing it. And it's like, you can think about it a million times, and you can maybe think that it might not be a good idea. It may not have a chance at working. It may not work out all the way. But taking that chance is the biggest one. Is the biggest point. You know, sometimes we can't always figure out the answer to the mystery. The mystery is through feeling it out. It's coming to realize what that mystery ends up turning into, if it ever reveals itself. Sometimes it may not. Maybe everything will be fine, or maybe it turns into a totally different course of action. But I feel is like easing your conscience in a way. Easing your conscience. Not allowing your mind to kind of like, you know, spiral. Let's see what we got for Cancer, I feel. For Virgo. Why is that energy coming up for Virgo? The Tower, dude. Like I was saying, don't bother questioning it. Don't bother questioning it. I wouldn't worry about it. Mainly just because, like, you're feeling like it's almost like someone threw some powder or something in your eyes and you can't see. So you have to trust your heart. You have to feel. You gotta feel through it. And so there are gonna be things around you that's gonna collapse and fall around you. But you have to feel it through. It's almost like going through a temple with booby traps that you can sense. You can't figure out when the booby trap is going to commence. You have to follow the sequence. Feel the rhythm, Virgo. And your earth energy, so you have a very strong connection to the earth. As long as you feel your way through it and not see anything, you won't have to worry about. Just remember the flow. Just trust where your heart wants to move. Feel your body through. Because think about it, right? The booby trap could just slice you right here, but because you felt the vibration and move, and trusted yourself to feel that you should have been moving, you avoided that booby trap. And I'm not saying you have booby traps all around you. You need to be safe and close your eyes and feel it through. But I am, like, this is just an analogy, but in a way, this is the kind of circumstance. The second you start overthinking it, things will start to feeling like you're overwhelming yourself and everything's going to collapse. Everything is collapsing now, but you have the ability to land on your feet if you just trust the fall. Interesting enough. Alright. Let's see. What do we got for Libras? Sorry, y'all. I know this is running way longer than I expected it to, but hey, I don't mind. As long as everybody else don't mind, I don't mind. Libra. Oh, wow. Jupiter return benefits. So, we all know that Jupiter just went into Capricorn. And I feel like there are some really big points that Jupiter usually hits that can suggest great energy waves. Great vibrations, excuse me. But Jupiter returns really means that usually when Jupiter makes its around your chart and comes home, you usually get benefits. You usually get gifts. Okay? Especially before he leaves a sign, he always leaves a gift. Especially if you've been doing the work, right? But like the energy of Jupiter he's a benefic, so he's the gift giver. He's known as the granddaddy planet, Santa Claus. That's the stereotype for Jupiter, right? Fat and got tons of gifts, but he'll always blow up shit though. Like that's what the misconception is. Like, oh, he gives good gifts. If you have shit that's good around you, if you don't have any, if you're not good in here, he's gonna expand that shit even further. So I feel like with Jupiter coming up, like this Jupiter returns, I feel like there may be some things that you might have been working very hard on, and because you're training true to your own vibration, Jupiter will enhance that vibration, you know, as many times as he wants to, you know, mathematical wise anyway. So let's see what the Jupiter returns energy is suggesting here. Jupiter returns. Jupiter. 9 of Wands. Okay, Libra, we got some stuff to talk about. Okay, so Jupiter's great and all, but when we have the 9 of Wands, like that's the gate. Nothing goes in, nothing comes out. Okay, we ourselves in the card of the 9 of Wands are the gatekeepers. All right, we've been beaten, we've been brutally, like smacked down, and we are trying our absolute hardest to keep our heads above the water, and we're not giving up. Like, I love the 9 of Wands because it's saying do not give up on your do not give up going forward, do not give up, do not give up. But we have to be careful that our stance isn't to keep something from coming out or keep something from coming in. Right? The defensiveness. I feel like while you shouldn't give up on your direction because Jupiter is coming in, or rather, actually, that's exactly what it's saying. 9 of Wands, Jupiter, the gifts are coming. The barrier can fall. It can fall. But not in the sense of like, just let it collapse, just fall apart. But like, whatever's making you feel like you can't drop something, or you can't like let the gates just be, right? Just let anybody come in, or let the, just kind of like resist the hold, if that makes sense. Whatever this is, it's keeping the energy out. And I think that is also exhausting us as even more, because it's like Jupiter's trying to give us the gift, but he's like pushing it, and we're just like, no, I have something I'm protecting. But that protection, the thing that you're protecting, may need whatever Jupiter is trying to push in. So of course we're getting exhausted and inundated and feeling like we're swimming with the sharks. And I feel like the resistance may not necessarily be needed. Not with Jupiter, not Jupiter return. So good things could be coming in. Be careful of what you're protecting. If you know what you're protecting, fine, continue to protect it with all your life. But if the protection is actually getting in the way of what you're trying to do, it may be time to let the thing just be. To allow yourself to be. Because perhaps you're trying hard to protect something that isn't actually something worth, this is not saying it's not something worth protecting, but it's not something that is in danger anymore. It's no longer in danger. Whatever it is, it doesn't need that much protection anymore. Very interesting, Libra. Okay, Scorpio, we got straight up. Taurus, I have. My gosh. Taurus, I have. And this is 14 as well. Yeah, this is whatever is yours, man. Seriously. Okay, feeling protective or feeling really possessive. I think you're taking account of what you have, not necessarily again with physical things. I feel like this is to do with what is yours. What is your emotional connection? What do you believe is something that you have? Sorry, what do you have around you right now? Person, emotional, connection to something that you feel has great value. Okay, Taurus. And it could be that you're dealing with your opposite sign too, but with Taurus energy, man, this is dealing with what is yours. Your pride, your passion, your intimate parts. Because think about it, your 7th house is Taurus, right? Your 8th house would be Gemini. So vibration I'm getting, especially with the Queen of Wands, is shamelessness. Like, Queen of Wands has no shame. Like, whatever is hers, she's hers. Taurus, like, it'll keep things, like, from the darkest periods of their life to the most innocent, right? And I feel like there's some things here with you, Scorpio, that that has to do with a certain element of yourself, right? Your pride, your power, your creativity. That all in itself right there seems to me that you have a lot that, you know, you protect that. But this is yours, you know, what you create, what you put out to the world. So the vibration I'm getting is, you know, your sense of self, your qualities, the things that make you shine. Okay, those are the things that I feel like you're assessing value of, or the focus of it has to do with recognizing what is yours, right? Recognizing the part of you that no one else can have. Queen of Wands. The passion that you have towards something, or it can get you towards a certain goal. But you are the center of it. Now, some of you may be dealing with a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. You may be dealing with, you know, with a fire sign, and you're like connecting with someone, and you believe that they're your person. Could be that this is suggesting a relationship with a fire sign for you guys, just because we're looking at your 7th house here. But I feel like, too, with Taurus and the Queen of Wands, there's something a little more intimate than that. It's literally that dynamic I was talking about with the Queen of, with Leo and Taurus. Like that home of safety because you put in so much. What's sacred to you, kind of deal. It's almost like that, and leaning on what's sacred to you. It's interesting. My throat is messed up. How are we doing in here? My voice is going. Oh man. All right, Saggies. What's up? See what we got going on. Oh, we got a lot of cards here. All right. So we have 2 cards for Sag. We have Mercury in the 9th house. Wow. I'm going to show you guys something here. Because if I don't show you, you won't believe it. Look at that. 3 threes, y'all. 3 threes. That's 9, guys. Enlightened ones. So, whew. So, the 9th house is higher learning. It's the house of higher learning. Worldly view, worldly perspective. You know, it could be learning, higher education. 9th house rules belief systems in the sense of, you know what information you've collected to accumulate your own sense of belief. So it's your that's why it says faith on the card. And so, wow, it's almost like right now you guys are changing how you philosophize, or and I say, I'm probably making up a word, but your philosophy of the way you use your mind is changing drastically, because Mercury is the mind, number 3, Gemini, which is also number 3 as well, and the mind has a beautiful way of being and adapting for what the needs are in the moment, right? You can use your mind for coming up with ideas. You can use your mind to dispute something. You can use your mind to create a result, to help you create a result. So I feel like with Mercury coming up here for you guys for sure. Like, I don't know if you're dealing with a Gemini or you're dealing with some sort of higher learning, but this is intimate as hell. Like, you are not, you may be playing off other people's ideas, but ultimately the center of focus is yourself. And what you make out of all the information you've ever accumulated throughout your entire life, it seems like. Like, there's 3 points in your life that I feel like are really big, significant things to you. Or 3 focuses in your life right now that you feel are, excuse me, that are huge focuses, and your attention to those are heightened big time. Big time. But ultimately, you're changing your belief and the way you use your mind, and you're changing perhaps, or you're reinforcing a belief too. It could, you may not even need to change anything. The reason why I say change so much is because 3 is the card, is the number in my eyes that represents a great deal of change. But change that we think before we feel, or the think that we think and then, think before we feel, or think before we act. Lots of thinking being done. I feel like it's easy to get trapped in a mindset, or easy to get trapped into the thought processes of things. But I feel like you're also recognizing where power has been given to the mind where it probably shouldn't as well for you. Mainly because of where we are, 22, 33, 33, or 33, 3. That to me is like, there's a lot to, like, there's a lot of thinking, there's a lot of thoughts, there's a lot of belief systems in the mind that are in the process of conflict because of everything else you've learned. It's the combination of everything. But I feel like the ninth house is emphasizing that there was 2 individual things, 2 individual energies that play a role, not just the mind, but it's what your ideas can create that can ultimately propel you forward and kind of connect you further with yourself. Realign yourself, mainly. Interesting. Actually, I'm not shuffling these. Let me go ahead and pull Capricorn. Interesting. Oh wait, we already did Capricorn. We already went around the zodiac. Oh my god, didn't we? Wait, no, we have to do Capricorn. Capricorn is the last one. Capricorns are like, what? She about to forget about us? No. Gemini moon's totally lying right now. Libra's like, see, I don't know this nigga. Like, Taurus is like, I've checked out ages ago. And Gemini's just like, you know what, you guys are so unsupportive. Okay? So anyway, last but not least, my fabulous Capricorns. Okay, Capricorns. Whoa. See, not about to happen again. But we have the 12th house, escape. Oh, man. Okay. Capricorns, you rarely escape. So this is going to be an interesting reading. So, okay. 12th house is also dealing with fears, the things that make us uncomfortable, right? The past as well. But this is also a little magic too. Magic and intuition, trusting your intuition as well. I feel like there's a deep connection with your past. Very deep connection. You have some hardships. You have some pain. You had some really difficult truths that you'd swallowed in the past. But you also had really, really wonderful finds. Wonderful relationships. Amazing connections with yourself through that journey. And although it kind of gives this vibration of like, the past is not necessarily something I want to revisit, there's a bittersweetness to it. I kind of feel for Capricorns right now, especially with this 12th house. There's a lot of bittersweet energy. Like, you understand the beauty and the capacity of something that has serious weight to it. You know, the capacity in which a journey can lead you down and leave you with so many great lessons, so many great things that you can then use for the rest of your life. Does that mean it's a scary process? It can be to go down, but you live through it, and you've come out the other end to tell your tale. Now it's all about I feel like it's the compassion that you give yourself. It's the compassion that you give yourself through living through the past almost in an instant. If that makes sense. It's almost like you're going through past energy. You're coming to terms with the things that you're leaving behind. But you're going to make out of what you've learned. You're going to make it amazing. And look at the two cards that come out. Like, seriously. Emperor and the Six of Swords. Like, that does not say that you guys are going to take what you've learned through pain and suffering and salvation and bliss and blessings. Like, if you didn't, like, you learned great things with this. And with the Emperor, that means you're taking control. You're taking power back into your hands, and you're going to do what you know you need to do with it the best way you can. And then with the Six of Swords, it's almost like the past has showed you that there's no fear in trying something new. And that's the bittersweet part of it. Because there's, like I said, there's an emotional connection to what you had to the past. This was something familiar. The Four with the Emperor, to me, it was your old home, your old fortress. Or at least, it was your where you mentored for a while, or where you studied, or where you put your attention into. Now you are the master of your own destiny. You are the controller. You're the one that wields the Poseidon's tuning, or like whatever his fork is called. You're directing your energy in a totally independent direction from your past, and it's not a bad thing. And I feel like it's just like for you guys, it's like there's a sense of peace right now. Even though you're doing something, there's a sense of non-action, a peaceful, like, it's almost like a silent prayer is happening. I'm just gonna be straight up. Like a silent prayer. Like you're just giving honor right now. Giving honor to it. But you're also excited for what's to come. Excited to see what you can make out of what you've been through. Because you don't see the past as something bad. You don't see the past as something that you should have been way better. You see this opportunity. You see the past as it opening the door to an amazing opportunity that if you felt was rushed, you would have probably never been able to have that until later. So it's like you're almost seeing the blessings through the delays, through the mishaps, through the accidents, through the gifts, through the blessings that came from those accidents, through everything. It's like everything's coming full circle for you right now. And it's pretty profound. Well, alright, guys. I feel like we kind of touched on everybody. Yeah, it took us about 2 hours to do, but worth every piece. Worth every piece. Okay? Alright, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you all so much for tuning in, riding this wave with me. We'll be touching on next week the last 6 of the Zodiac and what's compatible with them. I'm kind of excited to do that. And I kind of wanted to see what you guys think. Leave something in the comment section below. And also, guys, this is also a live talk show as well. So if you have questions, I would love to answer your questions for you. Eventually, what I want to do is have live callers call up the show and give questions about whatever they have for the astrology. And work with everybody that may have some questions going forward. But for now, right? If you have any questions, give them to me. I'll answer them at the end of my streams. But as always, family, much love. Take care. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and view my just recently uploaded elementals for the signs. They just went up this midnight, past midnight. So go ahead and watch those if you haven't already. And I will see you guys on the other side on IG, all over the world, in the universe, wherever we go. Take care, family. Bye, guys.